The truth about DEI is that although it's well-intentioned, it's mostly garbage. Over 900 studies have shown that DEI programs don't make the workplace better for minorities. In fact, it can actually make things worse because of the backlash effect. Maybe the only thing that DEI has accomplished is giving racist white people cover to be openly racist.
DEI is just a rebranded version of hating white people.
DEI, which stands for didn't earn it.
Discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination.
These crackers.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
If the 2024 elections have taught us anything, it's that Americans are done with woke politics, which is why it's very surprising to see Stephen A. Smith still pushing for DEI in 2025. But of course, Megyn Kelly ain't going to have any of it. But let's go ahead and jump into this discussion. Before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we break through the algorithms. Here we go.
How do we ignore its existence to begin with, where it originated from? If this nation, whether it's corporate America or beyond, was exercising fairness and truly looking for the best candidates and not engaging in favoritism that favored primarily white males, then there would have never been any need for DEI, just like there would not have been any need for affirmative action or other things. And so for me, when I think about it, that's what I believe folks who speak against DEI, specifically on the right, obviously, is missing. They don't bring up that element. To that, you say what?
Well, I think it's mixing a lot of things. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with diversity. Okay. And if I, were remaking America, I would make sure we had it in all forms in all places. I'd make sure we have lots of different people with lots of different backgrounds and lots of different ideological views running different corporations. Okay. But that's not really what DEI is. DEI is mostly focused on the E, the equity, which is just a joke. Equity means you have the right to end up in the same place, irrespective of how much effort goes into it. That is not an American value. That is not something I value or share in at all. It's like the whole, at my kids' schools, they still have DEI, at least at my daughter's school. And they were asking, What does it mean? What is equity? And I was explaining. And the woman actually said, this is just this year. She said at our new school, to which we fled to try to get from the super woke school in New York, said exactly what I said is the definition of equity, right? To wind up in the same place. And I said, you know what, Yardley, that is what equity is. And so on Halloween, you should go out there and you should work hard and go to every single house in the neighborhood and get a huge bucket of candy. And then you should go over to some kid's house who didn't trick or treat at all, who was too lazy, who just sat in front of his TV watching some stupid show, and you should give him half your candy because he has the right. He has the right to end up at the same place. And then when you go to take your exams, you have to let the girl who didn't study at all, who just phoned it in because she was on the phone with her friends, copy off your paper. She's entitled to the same grade you have, irrespective of how hard you've worked, and she hasn't. That's equity, and it's immoral.
When we talk about somebody being given a hand up, my God, doesn't that qualify, Megyn Kelly? Doesn't that qualify?
No. Let me just start by saying Barack Obama was a community organizer. That's it. That's it. He had no executive experience.
But he was elected,
zero,
Megyn.
and we made him commander in chief. Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you want to talk about qualifications to do the job, I'd much rather look at Pete's resume than Barack Obama's. But Pete, yes, he was a Weekend Fox and Friends host. But Trump was a Celebrity Apprentice host. Like your stint hosting on TV or not hosting doesn't determine whether you can do the job. Pete was hired because of his military service and after his military service, his years devoting himself to helping vets through Concerned Veterans for America and another charity group that he formed to help veterans get their voices out there in politics. But he served at Gitmo. He left Princeton voluntarily and enlisted so that he could help fight after 9/11. Nobody leaves Princeton to join the armed forces. Nobody. But Pete did. Then he volunteered again to go to Iraq during the most dangerous time. This is when people were being beheaded in Iraq. He was like, send me. Okay. And he went. Then Afghanistan, same thing, went back again. And those 3 deployments taught Pete a thing or two about what it means to be a warfighter and how much of a hair trigger we've had in this country over the past couple of decades, and how neocons are really super enthusiastic about fighting every single war in every single pocket of the globe without spending a lot of time thinking about what it's doing to our actual men. And Pete was changed from a neocon to more of a dove. And that's one of the reasons why Trump chose him.
So this conversation, of course, is centered around the idea that Pete Hegseth is rooting out DEI from the military, right? The one place where it shouldn't be, 100%, I mean, it shouldn't be anywhere, but in the military, it's going to get people killed. Unless you have the strongest, the best, the brightest out there, then folks are going to end up hurt. And the very same people clamoring to keep DEI in the military are the same people saying that Pete Hegseth is not qualified, right? Do you see the irony in that statement? Okay, but Stephen A. Smith, he's saying, you have to look at the history of this, right? There's a reason why we had to have affirmative action in the first place. It's because people are being discriminated against. And guess what? We have laws against discrimination, all right? But hiring people just to fill a quota is the wrong pathway to go, because as we've seen in study after study, it actually just hurts people of minority status other than helping them, okay? It makes people kind of resent them, not trust that they actually have the qualifications, and actually lose a lot of the respect they might have had otherwise, all right? But anti-discrimination laws, right? If you can prove that you're hiring somebody just based on the color of their skin, well, that's basis for a lawsuit, right? And we already have laws on the books covering that exact same scenario. However, remember, it is all about the equity, as Megyn Kelly says, right? It's all about that equality of outcome. And despite the fact that many people are smarter or stronger or taller or faster, right? We still have to have the exact same outcome for every single person. And that's not how life is going to be, okay? Some people will end up being Elon Musk or Bill Gates. Other people will end up being Stephen A. Smith, okay? It's not going to happen. But of course, the equity they really want is just about numbers and hiring positions and hiring practices. But if you brought that into, say, the NFL or the NBA, oh, would they stand for that type of equity? No, they wouldn't, because you don't want to have a 5'4" white guy out there running around the court who can't score a basket. You want to see the strongest, best athlete you possibly can. That's what brings the most value to the sports teams out there, right? But one thing I will take umbrage with Megyn Kelly, right? She's talking about, oh, I want to have as much diversity as possible. And I say, okay, diversity of thought and opinion is important. Don't get me wrong. That's how you basically sharpen arguments. That's how you make sure that the best ideas actually move forward. However, what's really important is not our diversity. It's what we have in common, right? What's the common ground we can all agree on? Because those are the things that actually make up the basis of a society. And if you have outliers and pockets of people who don't agree with those things, then chances are we're not going to be able to make legislation about them, and we shouldn't, all right? It's the stuff we have in common that binds us together. It's the stuff we have in common that makes us stronger. It's the stuff we have in common that makes us a powerful nation. And of course, the liberals, the Democrats, the leftists have spent decades trying to ruin every single thing that we could possibly have in common that makes this nation great and keeps us strong. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.
The truth about DEI is that although it's well-intentioned, it's mostly garbage. Over 900 studies have shown that DEI programs don't make the workplace better for minorities. In fact, it can actually make things worse because of the backlash effect. Maybe the only thing that DEI has accomplished is giving racist white people cover to be openly racist.
DEI is just a rebranded version of hating white people.
DEI, which stands for didn't earn it.
Discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination.
These crackers.
Boy, that escalated quickly.